Hello, Mrs. Campbell's first graders. I am going to read you a story today that I really want you to be able to hear. It is a story by our May author of the month. His name is Marcus Pfister. You may know him as the author of Rainbow Fish. But he wrote many other stories about all different kinds of characters. His characters are usually animals, and this one happens to be a hedgehog named Miko. The book is called The Happy Hedgehog. And I'm going to try to tilt things a little. There you go. That's a better picture. Okay. So, The Happy Hedgehog by Marcus Pfister. It was a beautiful day, and Miko, the little hedgehog, was feeling completely content. And content means happy. He lay in his garden, watching the clouds. As they changed shape, they reminded him of certain animals or plants. Miko loved his garden. He knew every flower, all the herbs, and even all the weeds by name. More than just their names, though, Miko knew all about their healing powers. The little hedgehog also knew all of the animals who lived there, the reptiles, the mammals, the amphibians, even the insects. Above all, he knew the birds, by sight and by their songs. So there's Miko resting in his garden. Suddenly a voice shattered his thoughts. Ha! Look at you lounging about in the garden, dreaming the day away, you lazy, good-for-nothing. It was Grandfather Tarek, who was out for his morning walk. The youth of today are simply useless, said Tarek. When I was a boy, it wouldn't have occurred to me to sit around all day long, staring into space. You should do something. But Grandfather, I am doing something, answered Miko. I'm watching the clouds and observing the plants and... Ridiculous! That's absurd! Wasting your time squatting in the grass, sniffing the flowers? You should take advantage of your youth to accomplish something important so that you will be happy. So Grandfather wants him to go do something and make something to make himself happy. Miko answered, But I'm quite happy here in my... Impossible! Go and take a look at how others lead their lives. Shaking his head, Grandfather limped away. Miko was confused. He didn't think that Grandfather Tarek looked particularly happy. What did others do that was so much better? The little hedgehog wondered. I will have to go and see for myself. Perhaps I'll learn something from them. He tied up a knapsack and headed off. So there Miko goes on his journey to find out what other people are doing to make themselves happy. Suddenly, a tortoise sped by Miko. Hey, Tortoise, wait a minute, called Miko. Why are you running? I'm in training, she panted. Training for what? Asked the little hedgehog. Training to be the fastest tortoise in the world. Miko scratched his forehead. Isn't it a bit difficult to run with such a heavy shell on your back? Of course it is, said the tortoise. That's why I have to keep on training. But if I become the fastest tortoise in the world, I will be famous and happy. That sounded good to Miko. Well, let me run with you, he said. And so the two took off. But Miko soon gave up. He was completely worn out. The tortoise kept on running, and she didn't even look back. Oh dear, thought Miko. Running can be fun, but not like this. He rested for a moment and then continued on his way at a slower pace. Miko looks completely worn out. Suddenly, a hare hurried across his path. And a hare is just another word for a rabbit. Hare, wait! Are you also in training? The hare looked baffled. Baffled means confused. Miko noticed the notebooks Hare was carrying. Training? No, I'm going to school. To school? What's that? Miko asked. Come along with me, Hare answered, and see for yourself. All right, said Miko, and followed the hare to school. Miko hid behind a tree and watched. The teacher taught addition, subtraction, geography, and penmanship. That's handwriting. Miko couldn't understand a word. During playtime, he found hair. Did you understand all those things the teacher was talking about? Are you kidding? I understood absolutely nothing, the hare answered. I just memorize everything. My head will be so full when I have finished. Maybe one day I will be the most brilliant hare of all, and then I will certainly be happy. The hare said goodbye and hopped back to his seat in school. Miko slipped away. He thought, it's great fun to learn new things, but just memorizing without really understanding them is not what I want. Deep in the woods, he heard a terrible grunting and growling. In a small clearing, Badger was trying to lift up a gigantic stone. Can I help you? Miko asked. With a terrifying roar, the badger heaved the stone high over his head and then suddenly let it go, thud, to the ground. Miko jumped back. You almost flattened me. What are you trying to do? I am building up my muscles. I want to become the strongest badger in the world. Oh no, not again, thought Miko. Why would you want to be so strong? Asked Miko. What do you mean, why? If I'm the strongest in the world, then everyone will respect me. I wouldn't be afraid of anyone, and that would make me very happy. Miko thought this over. There are certain advantages to being strong. Could I give it a try? He asked. Of course, Badger grinned. Here, try first with a small stone. Miko grasped the stone and struggled to lift it up. He began to sweat. He got the stone up as far as his belly when it slipped to the ground and landed on his little toe. Ouch! Cried Miko, rubbing the throbbing toe and whimpering. This is silly. Miko promised himself to only lift stones when he had to build a house or a wall around his herb garden, but not just to get strong. No, thank you. Miko said goodbye to the badger and hobbled to the edge of the woods. There he saw a trail of ants. Fascinated, he watched the busy animals scurrying here and there. At first glance, it seemed to be pointless, but when Miko looked closer, he saw that each ant seemed to have a purpose and knew exactly where it was going. What are you doing? He asked them. But the ants were so busy, they didn't even hear him. His grandfather was right. All of the animals were busy and ambitious. Ambitious means they want to keep doing things. They wanted to become fast and smart and strong so they would be happy. But it seemed to Miko that while they were striving, they weren't enjoying their lives at all. Did Miko really want to live that way? Thoughtfully, he made his way back home. When he arrived back at his garden, with the singing birds and the beautiful plants and the passing clouds, a wave of contentment washed over him. And remember, contentment means a wave of happiness. No, I don't want to be the strongest, he thought, or the cleverest, or the fastest. Why make myself miserable to be happy in the future when I'm already happy? I like the way I am now, here at home, in my garden. Miko heard a hoarse cough and turned around. It was his grandfather. Poor grandfather sounds like he's sick. So, Miko, did you go out and learn something today? Yes, I did, grandfather, but you're coughing. Sit down and I'll make you a cup of tea with herbs from my garden, mixed with fresh honey. That will certainly do you some good. You think so? Oh yes, I know other healing herbs too. I can help a sprained foot, a headache, and lots more. Is that so? Asked his grandfather. Grandfather Tarek made himself comfortable among the herbs and the flowers. He sipped his sweet tea, which did indeed help his cough. He asked Miko questions, and with each answer, Grandfather Tarek saw how much his grandson really did know, and how much there was to learn in Miko's garden. And that's the end. So it seems like even though grandfather wanted to teach Miko a lesson about being happy and getting things done, Miko was actually the one in the end who taught grandfather the biggest lesson of all, which was to, if you're happy the way you are, then that's what you should be doing. Everybody's different. Not everyone is going to be the fastest runner or the best baseball player or the quickest reader or the best speller. Not everyone is going to be the smartest person in the world, but everyone has their own talents. And if you figure out what that talent is and just enjoy that talent, happiness will follow. Thank you so much for letting me read The Happy Hedgehog to you. This is truly one of my favorite books, and I look forward to reading it all year, and I just could not let this year end without you hearing one of my favorite stories. I will talk with you soon.